Poison ivy is the worst. Let's just put it this way, point blank period. Poison ivy sucks. Guys, welcome back. So really quickly, I thought I'd come on here and do a story time video, and I have not done a story time video in a long time just because, and I've already explained this to you guys, but if you're new, it's because I don't plan on lying in my stories, if that makes any sense. So I only like to tell things that are true and that are actually a story to tell. So this is actually a story to tell, and I figured you would be interested because I am almost 30 and I've never had this before until this week, and it is the most annoying thing in the world. So if you've had this before, you can definitely relate. But I ended up actually getting poison ivy last week, and it's still here to this day. It's not leaving me, unfortunately, right now. At least it's not. I mean, it's doing a weird thing, but I just figured I'd explain to you about it because if you haven't had it, you don't want it. I don't know how else to explain it, but you don't want it. And if you've had it, then you know what I'm talking about. So last week, if you guys don't already know, I have a dog and her name is Bailey, and you're probably going to hear in the background because she likes to bark. Yeah, I have a dog, and our backyard is not fenced in, so we actually have one of those really long leashes, and it used to have like a stick that goes into the ground, deep into the ground, and it's supposed to stay down so the dog is like free to do whatever it wants on its leash, but still like staying where you know where it is, if that makes any sense. But for some reason that stick does not stay down into the ground. It could have been because I put it in, I don't know, not deep enough or whatever. But for some reason it kept coming up. So I didn't want that to happen. I mean, I'm always out there watching her regardless, but she's a pretty big dog. She's a pit bull, boxer lab mix, so she can give a really good tug, and I don't want it to be where all of a sudden she has gone loose and she's running down the street or anything like that, because she's still a puppy even though she's big. So I ended up putting her on that type of regular type of leash, but I had it hooked around, we had a table outside, this really old type of outdoor patio table. So I had it looped around there, but still it had enough room where she could go wherever she wanted. The table was pretty sturdy, so it was staying where it was. But because she's gotten bigger since when I put it on around the table, it's actually gotten to the point where the legs are now like all caved in different ways, because she is so like built that if she sees like a squirrel or a bird, she's just gonna go running, and of course it gives the table a jerk, and now it's to the point where the tabletop is fine, but the legs and everything else are disconnected from the top. Even though you can still see it's a table, you don't want to sit or eat on it because it's going down. We're one storm away from it just falling. So long story short, I ended up hooking her kind of towards, it looks like, you know where the basement windows are and they have a silver thing around it? Usually, I don't know what they call it, and there's a name for it, but I don't know it, so I'm sorry, I just don't. But I hooked her around that because there's a little, in the corner, there's a little circular hole. So I was able to loop her leash onto there, and I know because this is basically into the ground, deep into the ground, there's no way she's going to be able to pull that out. So what I did was I ended up moving all of these leaves that were around it, hooked it there, and she's been doing great there actually, and it has not moved, it hasn't ruined it. But the problem is when I ended up putting it there and moving the leaves out of the way, I didn't realize that I was moving a bunch of poison ivy out of the way. And somehow it ended on my hands and on my feet because I was wearing flip-flops. So I didn't know what poison ivy was. I've never seen poison ivy in my life. I'm a city girl. I don't like, you know, well actually I do like camping if it's in my backyard. So I don't know. I just was not expecting it to be poison ivy. And the funny thing is I'm so precautious that before I even looped it in, I'm like, these plants look sketchy. It could be poison ivy. And I'm like, Kim, you don't even know what poison ivy looks like. That's not poison ivy. That's just weeds. It was poison ivy. So I ended up getting it on my hands and on my feet, but I did not know what it was. And if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, I have already been saying, oh, I have eczema because in the winter I always get eczema. For some reason, it's only this hand, but I ended up getting it last year on my middle finger, and this year I got it on my ring finger. So I've been dealing with eczema since December of this previous year. And so I thought that's what it was. I'm like, okay, this is starting to itch on my ring finger because that's actually where it started itching. And this happened Wednesday or Thursday, I want to say. And this started showing up Saturday morning. So I'm like, ooh, it's starting to itch on this finger. Why is it itching? You know, I'm like, maybe my eczema is starting to come back because it was actually starting to leave. And then I'm like, what are these little bumps? It's tiny, tiny, tiny little bumps. And they look like they have liquid in them. And I know this is TMI, but if you were to squeeze them, then a little bit of like liquid comes out. And so, and they pop. They'll pop and there's liquid. And you're not supposed to pop them. Yeah, I did. But you're not supposed to pop them. And you're supposed to leave them alone. And I didn't do that. But I didn't know what it was. So I'm just like, what are these little bumps? And then all of a sudden, I see it coming here. And then I see it coming in the middle of my other finger. And I'm like, okay, it's starting to travel. I'm like, boy, this is traveling really fast. I don't remember eczema usually traveling that fast. And then all of a sudden, like within a couple hours, by the time it was Saturday night, I had it all here, and then it was starting to come on this side. And I'm like, that's weird, because I don't think eczema is, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think eczema is contagious hand to hand or like touching it. From what I heard, I don't think it is. But basically, it's all like very thick right along here, and then all along the back of my hand, even some in my palm, which you think that's where it would be the most, but for some reason, it's all along here. And then on this side, it's actually a little more on my palm than this one. And then all along here. But this hand has it the worst. But it has it the worst here, if that makes sense. And this entire hand has it the worst. But this side is just the worst here. And then it's kind of going away. Alright, I hope you guys can see it. It actually doesn't look that bad now because it's been about 7 or 8 days. But all along here, if you guys can see, all along here is like, you know, bumps. I don't know if you can see all of that. It's all bumpy, especially right here. And it's actually in the better stages. It actually looks better on camera than what it does in real life. And then of course I have all of this right here, and I need to fill in too. So I did take a picture of it on Sunday, because on Sunday it was like bubbles everywhere. It was so bad, and it was all in the middle of here. So if you close your fingers, you kind of feel the bubbles from the other side. TMI, I know. So yeah, it was just, when it was like itching so bad at this point, I remember getting like water and then putting ice in a bowl and then just sticking my hands in it. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but maybe I can freeze whatever is going on my hands. And then I started to think, I'm like, okay, Kim, this cannot be eczema. Like, you've never had this before. You know, this is just spreading really fast. I'm like, what did you do to get this? Because obviously this is some type of, you know, infection or something. Because it wasn't an allergic reaction. I've been eating the same things I've always eaten. I have been eating almonds more, but that was like a week ago since I've had almonds, or 2 weeks. And so it wasn't that. And so I decided Sunday morning, after I ended up using like all of my hydrocortisone cream on my hand, Sunday morning it got to the point where I was like, I just need to go. I need to get somewhere. I don't know who is going to be open, but they need to let me know. Actually, it wasn't Sunday. It was Memorial Day. So on Memorial Day, I called my doctor, and he did not pick up, so they were closed. Everyone was practically closed. But there was like an in clinic down the street from us, and I don't know what they're called. I think it's in clinic. And so I called them, and they told me that I could come in. So I went in, and when I went in, I filled out everything and waited for the doctor. The doctor finally saw me, and I explained to him, I'm like, I've had eczema for a while, and I think I thought it was eczema. I said, but I don't know what it is right now. And so at first he was like, he didn't even bother to look, which was weird. He was just like, oh yeah, it's probably eczema. And I'm like, but look at my hands. I said, I'm thinking it could be poison ivy because I touched plants. And he was like, oh, were you outside? And I'm like, yeah, look, see. He's like, oh yeah, that is poison ivy. He's like, so we're gonna get you started on some steroids. Oh, and I think it was steroids. I'm almost positive. And he's like, we're going to get you started on that. And then he also said we're going to get, like, I could get a shot if I wanted to, which I said yes, because it was itching so bad at that point. I was just like, give me whatever you got. He also gave me Benadryl, but I mean, come on now. Benadryl, all it's going to do is really make me sleep. And then he gave me, what else did he give me? Another hydrocortisone cream. So that shot, I will say that shot really hurt. And it probably could have been a normal shot, but she was just like, don't tense up, the nurse, because she said if you tense up, there's a lot of muscle right here, and when you tense up, it's hard for the needle to get through to the muscle, and so she's going to have to move the needle around. So that scared the heck out of me, because I'm like, listen, I wasn't planning on tensing up, but now you are freaking me out, and I'm just going to go like limp. So whatever you gotta do it, because I do not want you to be moving that needle around while it's in my arm. So she ended up, of course, like, you know, sticking me with the needle, and it hurt, but I made sure not to tense up. And then afterwards, it kind of felt like it was like a fire, a burn to it. And even on the way home, like driving, it was so painful to move this arm, like so painful, and it lasted like half an hour that way. And so with poison ivy, it's not really contagious unless you're starting to like ooze and things like that. And I'm not really doing it now, but I do see still a lot of tiny little bubbles. Some are bigger than the other, but if I were to like push it, then it pops. So what I try not to do is pop it, obviously. And then what I had to do was, because Monday was Memorial Day and Tuesday was back to school, my co-teacher, she's like highly allergic to poison ivy. And so I made sure like whatever I was using, I didn't like touch what she was touching. If we needed to use like the smartboard and like that, like she had that covered, so I wasn't touching it. And then I even brought in gloves just in case for some things, like if I had to, you know, touch something that a student would be touching, I had my gloves on, and then I took them off, because you don't want to have it where your hands can't breathe, because then your hands will start to sweat, and when your hands are starting to sweat with poison ivy, it's really bad, I guess, because that will make it spread. But it was just, poison ivy is the worst. Let's just put it this way, point blank period. Poison ivy sucks. If you have poison ivy, then you know what I'm talking about. It itches so bad. It's like thousands of tiny little mosquito bites on your hand. I looked online and it said 5 to 10 days, but since I started getting it around Saturday of last week, even though technically I had it Thursday, it's been about 7 days now. So hopefully this is like its ending stage, because I'm so ready for it to be done. My hands just look so mutated. It's ridiculous. And it's funny because my husband saw it. I had to go to an event on Saturday or Sunday night, and he was like, what's wrong with your hands? What's going on? And he's the type who will be brutally honest with you, which I actually like that. Honesty is a good thing. And so I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, you need to get that checked out, because you look like you're morphing into something. And he's like, makeup can't cover that. And, you know, and I'm like, no, makeup cannot cover tiny little bumps. And he's like, well, don't touch anyone, and definitely don't touch me. So he even was like, should I sleep on the couch? I'm like, it's not that bad. But yeah, so that's basically what's going on. You know, in case you see in a couple videos, I have little bumps. That's what it is. I have poison ivy, and of course there's still gonna be one person asking what is on my hands. So I thought I'd share with everyone. It's just poison ivy. So this is, I hope I'm like not dragging this video out, but if you have poison ivy, let me know how long it lasts, because I'm ready for it to go away, and it's been 7 or 8 days and somehow it is still holding on. Oh. So let me know how long this is supposed to last, and how you dealt with yours, how you helped heal yours, if that makes any sense. You know, just let me know. What should I do? Whoa. So yeah, let me know what you did with yours, what worked for you, what helped to heal yours. If there's anything maybe I should do extra other than the stuff that the doctor gave me to make it go away faster, I would love to hear that. But yeah, that's basically it. I have poison ivy. Don't mess with plants. Don't touch plants. Technically from now on, I'm not touching anything green but grass. Okay? That's just what it is. I don't even need to touch grass. Why do I need to touch grass? I don't want to touch any plants. I'm good with the plants. If it doesn't have a flower, I don't want to touch it. So that's basically what is going on. And now that I'm talking about it, I'm starting to itch a little more. So I better end this video before I'm over here like... But yeah, that's basically it. I have poison ivy. You don't want poison ivy, it's not a fun thing at all. It's not fun. Alright, see you guys later.